The UK's Eerie Caves, steeped in dark legend and mystery, are home to ghostly whispers and shadowy figures, guarding spine-chilling tales that have haunted the land for centuries, captivating all who dare to enter. 1. Devil's Arse Cave. Tucked away in the rolling hills of Derbyshire lies Devil's Arse Cave, one of the most chillingly named caves in the UK. Local folklore tells of a devilish figure that once roamed these dark passages, cackling in delight as he tormented those who dared enter his domain. The cave's eerie echoes seem to mimic this malicious laughter, sending a shiver down the spine of anyone within earshot. Over the years, the cave has also been the site of numerous tragic events, particularly during the English Civil War. Soldiers who sought shelter within its cold walls often found themselves unable to escape. Some say their spirits are forever trapped, haunting the cave's depths. The most disturbing accounts come from those who report hearing phantom footsteps behind them, only to turn around and find no one there. Others have felt an invisible presence, pushing them further into the cave, as if the very walls are alive and determined to keep them within. Some have even claimed that when the moon is full, they can see strange, flickering lights dancing deep inside the cave, the remnants of long-dead souls still trying to make their way out. 2. The King's Cave. The King's Cave on the Isle of Arran in Scotland is an ancient site, wrapped in both historical importance and chilling legend. It is said to have been a refuge for King Haakon, the Fourth of Norway, during his exile, and it was within these walls that the king met his tragic and untimely death. Ever since, his spirit has been tied to the cave, with numerous accounts of eerie phenomena from those who venture inside. The cave is quiet, but it's a quiet that weighs heavy on your chest, as if the stone itself is watching. Visitors often report hearing distant voices calling their name, only to find themselves completely alone. Some claim to see the ghostly figure of a tall man in medieval attire standing at the cave's entrance, staring at them as if warning them to leave. The strangest phenomenon occurs when the cave's acoustics seem to amplify the slightest sound, creating an almost hypnotic echo that sounds disturbingly human. Many who have ventured into the deeper recesses of the cave have experienced disorientation and a creeping sense of dread, as if something or someone is gently guiding them to stay forever. The locals believe that the restless spirit of King Haakon continues to haunt the cave, eternally bound to the place of his death. 3. The Hellfire Caves. Beneath the village of West Wycombe lies the famous Hellfire Caves, a labyrinth of tunnels carved out in the 18th century, originally used as meeting places by the notorious Hellfire Club. Led by Sir Francis Dashwood, the club's debauched rituals and occult practices are believed to have made the caves a permanent site of supernatural activity. Inside the caves, the air feels thick with the remnants of these dark ceremonies, and the walls seem to vibrate with unspoken secrets. Ghostly figures in 18th century attire are often seen flitting around the narrow passages, their pale faces locked in perpetual grins. The most terrifying presence, however, is that of Sir Francis Dashwood himself. It is said that his ghost still presides over the deepest chamber of the cave, watching those who dare to enter. Visitors have reported feeling an overwhelming sense of unease, often accompanied by the sensation of being suffocated, as though invisible hands are closing around their chest. As the air grows colder and heavier, the whispers grow louder, and some even claim to hear strange chanting from the shadows. The caves are known to have a peculiar echo, amplifying the sounds of footsteps and voices, leaving the impression that the Hellfire Club is still active in the afterlife, inviting those brave enough to participate in its dark rituals. 4. The Druid Caves. At Rota Rocks in the Peak District, the Druid Caves remain a chilling testament to the area's ancient pagan past. Carved into the hillside, these caves were once believed to be the site of sacred rituals performed by druids who worshipped the earth and its elements. The cave's mysterious atmosphere is heightened by the sense of history that clings to the very walls. Visitors often describe an overwhelming feeling of being watched, as if the ancient spirits of the druids are still present, observing all who pass through. In certain parts of the caves, the walls seem to hum with an almost palpable energy, and some claim to hear the whispers of long-forgotten chants echoing off the rock. The deeper you go into the caves, the more oppressive the air becomes, until it feels as though the very stone is closing in around you. Shadowy figures have been spotted in the dim light, some of them so lifelike that it seems as though the druids themselves have returned to guard their sacred place. Those who venture too far are said to experience disorientation and a profound sense of dread, unable to find their way back to the entrance. It is said that these caves hold a dark power, and some believe that disturbing the spirits within could awaken an ancient curse. 5. Lady Charlotte's Cave. Lady Charlotte's Cave in Derbyshire is a place where sorrow and tragedy intertwine with the land itself. The cave is named after Lady Charlotte, a noblewoman who, after a failed romance, sought refuge within its dark, silent walls. It was here that she is said to have died, her heart broken beyond repair. Her spirit is thought to haunt the cave to this day, and the air around the entrance always feels heavy, as if her sadness has soaked into the very stone. Visitors often describe a palpable sense of melancholy as they enter, a deep sadness that seems to settle over them like a thick fog. Many have reported seeing the ghostly figure of a woman in Victorian-era clothing, her face a mask of grief, silently walking the cave's narrow passageways. Some say they can hear the faint sound of sobbing coming from the deeper chambers. The strangest phenomenon, however, is the cold. It is as if the very cave itself weeps for Lady Charlotte, and the further you go, the colder it becomes, as if the grief has seeped into the bones of the cave. For some, it's more than just an eerie experience. It's a sensation that stays with them, long after they've left the cave's shadow. 6. Giant's Hole. The Giant's Hole in Derbyshire, known for its striking limestone formations, holds an even darker secret. According to legend, a giant once roamed the land around the cave, terrorizing nearby villages. When the giant was finally slain, it is said that his spirit became trapped within the cave, cursed to haunt its dark depths forever. Those who enter the cave often report hearing distant footsteps, heavy and thunderous, as if a giant is still wandering the tunnels, searching for a way out. Some claim to see large, shadowy figures at the cave's entrance, moving just out of sight before vanishing into the darkness. The atmosphere in the cave becomes suffocating, as if the giant's restless spirit has a weight of its own. The deeper you go, the colder it gets, and the more oppressive the feeling of being watched grows. Some have claimed to see flashes of light moving in the distance, like the ghostly outline of the giant trying to communicate. No one knows for sure whether the giant's spirit is truly bound to the cave, but one thing is certain: there is an unsettling presence within, something that seems to want to keep visitors trapped in the same darkness that claimed it centuries ago. 7. Creswell Crags. The Creswell Crags in Nottinghamshire are not only famous for their ancient rock art, but also for the eerie legends that surround them. These limestone caves have long been linked to burial sites for early humans, and it is believed that the spirits of those buried here never truly left. Visitors to the crags often report hearing the sounds of children crying, despite there being no one around. Others claim to see shadowy figures moving between the rock formations, their outlines barely visible in the dim light. The most unsettling phenomenon, however, is the whispering voices. As you move deeper into the crags, the voices grow louder, murmuring in a language that is impossible to understand. The voices seem to be coming from the very rocks themselves, as if the ancient spirits are trying to communicate with the living. Some explorers have reported a sudden and inexplicable sense of vertigo, as though the very ground beneath them is shifting, and others have claimed to see the silhouettes of long-dead ancestors watching them from the shadows. The air grows heavier the further you go, and the oppressive silence that envelops you seems almost too much to bear. 8. Thor's Cave. Thor's Cave, located in Staffordshire, is known not only for its stunning natural beauty, but also for the legends that make it an eerie place. Named after the Norse god Thor, the cave is said to have been used by the god to hide his treasures from mortals. The spirits of thieves who attempted to steal these treasures are said to still haunt the cave, their restless souls trapped within its rocky confines. Visitors have reported hearing the unmistakable sound of chains dragging across the floor, or the soft clink of coins, as if the thieves are still attempting to plunder the treasure. Others describe feeling as though they are being watched, with the presence of something old and powerful lurking in the shadows. The deeper into the cave you go, the darker and colder it becomes, and some say that the walls themselves seem to shift, as though trying to keep you from reaching the heart of the cave. The air feels thick with ancient energy, and many have left the cave with a sense of dread that lingers long after they've gone. 9. Blue John Cavern. Blue John Cavern, located in Derbyshire, is renowned for its stunning blue crystals, but it's also infamous for the ghostly encounters that occur within its walls. The cavern is said to be haunted by the spirits of miners who lost their lives while extracting the valuable minerals. Visitors often report hearing the sounds of tools being struck against stone, as if the miners are still at work, even though no one else is around. Some have seen figures in old-fashioned mining clothes, their faces obscured by shadows, silently moving through the cavern. The deeper you go into the cavern, the more unsettling the atmosphere becomes. The walls seem to hum with an unnatural energy, and the beautiful blue crystals, while mesmerizing, seem to shimmer with a malevolent glow, as though they hold the spirits of the dead within them. The air grows colder as you descend, and some visitors describe feeling an overwhelming urge to leave, as though something is silently urging them to turn back. The cavern, beautiful yet haunting, seems to hold a dark secret that it doesn't want to share. 10. Wallace's Cave. Located near the famous Roslin Chapel, Wallace's Cave is steeped in both history and mystery. According to legend, the cave was used as a hideout by William Wallace, the Scottish hero who led the fight against English oppression. The cave's damp, shadowy interior is said to be haunted by Wallace's spirit, and it is believed that the echoes of his sword strikes can still be heard in the cave's deepest chambers. Visitors have reported seeing a tall, imposing figure standing at the entrance of the cave, watching them with piercing eyes, only to disappear when approached. The air within the cave is thick and heavy, as if the cave itself is holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. Some explorers claim to hear the clink of armor or the sharp scrape of a sword being drawn, though there is no one else in sight. Others describe feeling an overwhelming presence, as if Wallace's ghost is silently observing them, ensuring that his story is never forgotten. The cave's atmosphere is haunting, as if it is guarding a piece of Scotland's history that should never be disturbed. 11. White Scar Cave, one of the longest caves in England. White Scar Cave in Yorkshire is a spectacular natural wonder, but also a place of eerie happenings. The cave's vast stone chambers are said to be haunted by the spirits of those who perished within its depths during early explorations. Visitors often describe hearing strange, distant sounds, like the tapping of hammers or the faint murmur of voices, when there is no one else around. Others claim to feel a chill creeping down their spine, despite the relatively warm air in the cave. The strangest occurrence happens in the deeper sections of the cave, where explorers sometimes feel as though they are being watched by invisible eyes. It's said that the deeper you venture into White Scar, the more likely you are to encounter the ghostly miners who never made it out. Some say the very stone walls seem to press in, as though the cave itself is trying to keep you trapped within its maze. There's an oppressive sense of silence that follows you the further you go, and it's said that those who venture too deep may hear their own voices echo back at them in an unsettlingly distorted way. 12. Mother Shipton's Cave Mother Shipton's Cave in Yorkshire is not only famous for its mysterious petrifying well, but also for the eerie legend surrounding its most famous inhabitant, Mother Shipton herself. A legendary prophetess, Mother Shipton is believed to have spent much of her life in the cave, predicting events that would shape the future. Her spirit is said to haunt the cave, and many visitors report strange occurrences when they enter. Some hear an old woman's voice calling out warnings of future events, while others feel a sudden chill in the air. The well, where objects are turned to stone over time, is said to hold a peculiar power. Some believe that it can petrify the souls of the living, as well as objects, trapping them forever. Visitors sometimes notice that objects left near the well seem to shimmer, as though they are slowly turning to stone. The cave's atmosphere is heavy with anticipation, and some claim to hear whispers in the dark, as if the future itself is being written within its walls. Whether it's the lingering presence of Mother Shipton or the power of the cave itself, many feel an unsettling sensation of being watched when they enter. 13. Cheddar Gorge Caves The Cheddar Gorge Caves in Somerset are one of the UK's most famous cave systems, but beneath their natural beauty lies a darker, more supernatural tale. The caves have been used for thousands of years, from prehistoric settlements to medieval hideouts, and many believe they are haunted by the spirits of those who once lived there. Visitors often report hearing soft voices echoing through the chambers, as though the dead are still trying to communicate. Others describe a sense of being followed, the feeling that someone or something is always just behind them, watching their every move. The caves themselves are vast, and the deeper you go, the more difficult it becomes to shake the feeling that you are no longer alone. Strange noises, like the sound of footsteps on the rock floor, seem to come from nowhere, and some say that the further into the cave you wander, the more lost you feel, not just physically, but spiritually as well. The most chilling reports come from those who claim to have seen shadows flitting through the caves, disappearing just before they can be caught. The spirits of ancient inhabitants are believed to guard the cave's secrets, ensuring that no one can uncover what lies hidden within. 14. Llangattock Caves The Llangattock Caves in Wales are a complex network of tunnels and passages that have been a source of mystery for centuries. The caves were once used for mining, and it's said that the spirits of the miners who perished there still roam the tunnels, seeking to finish what they started. Visitors describe an overwhelming feeling of being watched, and many report hearing the sounds of pickaxes striking stone, even though no one is around. Some claim to have seen figures in old mining clothes moving silently through the dark, their faces hidden in shadow. The deeper into the caves you go, the darker and colder it becomes, and some say the cave seems to fight against you, making it impossible to find your way back out. The further you venture, the more the feeling of oppression grows, as if the cave itself is trying to claim you as one of its lost souls. Those brave enough to explore the caves at night often feel a cold hand brush against their skin, or hear footsteps that seem to echo from all directions, as though the miners are still working deep below the earth. 15. The Gaping Gill. The Gaping Gill in the Yorkshire Dales is one of the most dramatic and daunting caves in the UK, with its vast underground chamber and bottomless pit. But it is also known for its chilling supernatural activity. Local legend speaks of an ancient beast, a creature that dwells deep within the cave, its roars echoing through the tunnels. Visitors often describe hearing a low growl that seems to emanate from the very heart of the cave, and some even claim to have seen glowing eyes peering out of the darkness. The atmosphere in the cave is oppressive, with a heavy sense of dread hanging in the air. Some explorers describe an overwhelming feeling of being swallowed by the earth, as though the cave itself is trying to claim them. The sound of rushing water fills the chamber, adding to the eerie ambience, and some say the sound of footsteps can be heard echoing from the dark corners of the cave. The most unsettling phenomenon, however, is the strange light that sometimes flickers in the distance, like will-o'-the-wisps luring explorers deeper into the cave's heart, where the unknown waits. These eerie cave tales chill and uncover hidden histories. Like, share, and subscribe to Creepy Experience for more chilling adventures. Know any other haunted caves? Drop a comment below